So now with Roe overturned, it upends much of women's health care, well beyond just the issue of abortion. Like, could it affect IVS, Plan B, and ectopic pregnancies, where the fetus implants in the wrong location?
And Dr. Pooja Lakshman, she shared a post about how a woman with ectopic pregnancy almost died when her fallopian tube ruptured while a doctor conferred with a lawyer before intervening. So we want to bring in Dr. Kathleen O'Neil from Penn Fertility Care to talk about this and some of the issues and questions that people are having now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first, this story has really been shared a lot. A lot of people have been seeing this story on social media. Can you remind folks and just explain what is an ectopic pregnancy?
An ectopic pregnancy is a pregnancy that forms outside of the uterus, so most commonly in the fallopian tube. And it cannot go on to continue and develop into a pregnancy or a child. It cannot be put back in the uterus. It is not a viable pregnancy, and it can kill a woman.
Okay. The child as well as the mother then could
Yes.
be in danger if this happens.
Yes, the fallopian tube can't support the pregnancy, so the pregnancy ruptures the fallopian tube, and then women bleed into their bellies and can die.
So in this case, it's being shared. It ruptured, the woman's bleeding, almost bleeding out, and they're waiting for 9 hours to try to talk with lawyers because the doctor doesn't want to lose his license. And that's a scary place for a lot of people to be in, where nurses are watching women in loss of life, trying to figure out what to do in these times.
And that was one of our biggest concerns when Roe and Casey were overturned, is what does this mean? Now this means that I can't provide medical care for my pregnant patients just based on what is good for them and potentially their pregnancy. I have to think about, how does this fit with the current legislation in this state? What is the legislation in this state? And you don't want your doctor having those things on their mind. Am I going to get prosecuted if I do this or not? You want your doctor thinking about what's best for you. And that's one of the biggest concerns, is that's not going to be the case now.
And you've already seen him having, town halls and meetings about this to figure out what to do in these situations?
Yes, the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, which is the governing body that I'm a part of, had a town hall. What does this mean for our patients that are undergoing fertility care? What does this mean for those that have already generated embryos to help them build their families?
IVF.
IVF.
Mm-hmm. You have 3 children.
I do.
One by IVF.
I do, yes.
What does this mean? I know so many friends and family personally that I'm related to that have children by IVF. What does this mean for women that are going through this process in states that are affected? And we have a whole map because it's already happened in many different states. What does this mean for women that are trying to build their families with IVF?
I think the scariest thing is we don't know. I think that's the uncertainty of it. When Roe and Casey were overturned, the decision goes back to the states about abortion. And so that's going to result in legislation. And that legislation, depending on how it's written, may not only impact a pregnancy inside an individual's body, but also embryos outside of the body. And that's what we do for IVF. We take eggs and combine them with sperm and make embryos. And it's not just to treat infertile patients and help them have families, but it's also for fertility preservation for individuals with cancer. It's to help couples that have genetic disorders not pass those conditions onto their children. So the fact that my ability to conduct IVF is going to be limited is scary.
And when you say we don't know and it depends because it's now up to the states, it's because when they determine life, is that what determines how it affects IVF and how it affects embryos? Yes,
this concept of personhood, or these bills that are like a bill that's in Pennsylvania right now being considered, these personhood acts that define life starting at the time of fertilization of an egg. So in vitro fertilization, that happens in a lab outside of the body. So does that also apply? Is that also considered a life and something that needs to be protected with the same rights as a human individual? That is going to be a significant problem because it's going to limit what we can do in the lab. It's going to make us less efficient, and it's going to make it less safe.
And of course, this also comes up with miscarriages as well. This could affect them.
Yes. It affects not just my ability to take care of fertility patients, but also my pregnant patients. You have pregnant patients that are having a miscarriage, potentially a very wanted pregnancy, and are bleeding and need treatment. They need the pregnancy to be removed. The pregnancy is not going to continue. But depending on the legislation, the doctor's hands may be tied and may not be able to do anything and just has to sit there and watch as their patients suffer, which is
it's such a
not
confusing
right.
thing, because it's often, I think people have the misperception. It's not like, I think it's fewer than 10%, maybe 9% are pregnant teenagers, that 60% of the women that have abortions already have other children. And there's many different things that are going into that. And it's usually healthcare issues and so many other issues. So anyway, it's interesting that it's here, and these are the times that we're living in right now. What are women saying to you?
Women are saying that they are scared, first and foremost. They are nervous to get pregnant, but they are nervous not to get pregnant. They're saying, what does this mean for their access to contraception? What does this mean for things outside of abortion? What does this mean for other, Justice Alito specifically called out contraception, called out same-sex marriage, those things. What does it mean for that? So I think it's just this uncertainty about our rights as our bodies, and for professionals, our ability to take care of our patients. I went into this profession because I wanted to help people. I wanted to save lives. I wanted to create lives. And I can't believe I'm in a position where my ability to do that, it might be limited depending on what state I'm in. It's terrifying.
Thank you for talking, because this is a tough issue, and
Yes.
people have real strong opinions, and thanks for speaking up and coming in.
And
happy
regardless
to.
of the opinions, it's good to hear logistically how this will carry out, especially for people in the medical profession. So we thank you for your opinion, Dr. O'Neil.
Thank you for having me.
And you can always weigh in and join this discussion as well. Use our hashtag Fox29. Good day.